All right, we're back. It's been a minute, boys. It's been a few weeks, but we banged out an awesome episode last time, I thought. Got a lot of good compliments on that one. So if you guys haven't gone back and listened to that one, check it out. It was fun. We laughed a lot.
We did. And first time in the new studio last time. And
yeah.
We had a good
I'm getting a lot of messages asking if I'm dating your mom yet.
Dude, well, I'm telling you, I'm about to put her up on the CanCast site because if she doesn't get a boyfriend soon, she's driving me nuts.
Oh, really? Hey?
Yeah.
I think I know a guy.
Yeah?
I think so.
I feel like you're married already.
It's not me. It's not. You don't want me to be your daddy.
I do.
I
want that.
My real dad listens to this. So
Let's put it this way. I'll be grounding you from your boat this weekend and taking it.
Oh, no. You're coming in my boat this weekend.
Yeah, I forgot.
We're all going to go fishing together. I was so jealous when I texted you guys Saturday and I was like, where are you guys? And you're both like, oh, we're fishing on Rice Lake. I felt so left out.
What do you mean?
I felt so left out.
We weren't alone.
Weren't you away?
No, I was on Shamong cleaning up, remember?
Oh, that's right, too. You were smashing on Shamong.
I had a great morning out there with my father-in-law, and I never go for largemouth. I just don't.
You just stayed on Shamong?
Just stayed on Shamong and Buckhorn.
Yeah.
We had a great day.
Yeah, well, Saturday we went to Rice, and we picked up Damien, the junior that we met at the Canada B.A.S.S. Fundraiser.
That kid is unbelievable.
He's serious about it, man. I love it.
He was he's a junior, and that's something we can touch on a little bit. We're gonna do a lot of OBN topic today, the high school, OBN high school and all that stuff. Junior Bass Masters, and this kid, he wants to get involved in that. This kid's obsessed with fishing, and he's learning it all off TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok
and
YouTube.
he's learning it from the water too.
And
He's out there every day. He's on the dock, but he's out there every day.
So he's meeting people at the boat ramp. Like he met Riley there, Joe Ford. Joe invited him to this Canada B.A.S.S. thing. Came out fishing in the morning, went out with Cody. Ends up 5th place in the tournament. They smashed them. Came out in the afternoon with me and Sean. And he's
zeroed.
No, not at all. No,
I just assumed.
No. No, I've been on fire this year, but leave me alone. And the kid is literally telling us how to fish. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And what he said to me that really resonated was what you want to be a pro fisherman, and he's going to be going into grade 10 if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Right. And he goes, yeah, that's my only plan. There's no backup. And I was like, me and Sean, that was awesome. And then I'm like, well, you could always be a fishing rep like me, or there's lots of jobs in the industry. And he's like, yeah, that's my plan. I'm doing something in fishing.
Nice.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So anyways, but tonight's going to be a fun episode. We actually got a guest in studio tonight. A friend of mine, Zach White, in studio here. So Zach, welcome. Thanks for coming in. I'll give you a little introduction.
Sounds good.
But I actually met Zach through my first bass club, Peterborough B.A.S.S. Masters. Right away, Zach was one of the executives on the board, I believe. Back then, that would have been 2016, maybe.
Yep, conservation director. I think I was the only guy throwing Daiwa at the time, too.
You were. So right away, me and Zach hit it off, and I met a few other guys in the club like Warren and a whole bunch of great people. And but Zach has kind of worked his way up through the, ranks, for lack of a better term. Now you take a bigger role at the OBN, so the Ontario B.A.S.S. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Zach, the role you're currently sitting in, and kind of a little bit about your background and how you kind of got to this spot.
Yeah, no, first, thanks for having me here. It's awesome. So I started off fishing just like everyone did. You had an uncle or a grandparent or someone took you out, you got hooked, you kept on going. So tournament fishing. But even before that, the year before I met you, what happened was I had a buddy of mine that you may know, Warren McCrae.
The Eagle?
The Eagle.
Yeah.
He gave me a ring-a-ding, and he's like, yo, I need to leave Ottawa, tonight, and I need to come into Peterborough, and I need a place to crash temporarily. So I stuck him in my basement for a little bit, and then...
What's a little bit?
A couple months.
That's the Eagle's Nest.
Yeah. Are you sitting on that? How long have you been sitting on that?
I haven't been sitting on nothing, buddy. That's not how this brain works.
We got to do that again. Say it. Was that the...
Eagle's Nest.
Oh, so good.
Jeez. Yeah, the Eagles. That's what I'm going to get. There's going to be some painting going on outside on that door. So he used to tournament fish, and he's like, "Hey man, you like fishing?" Warren and I went to college together, so that's how we knew each other, old rugby buddies. And he just called me up and he said, "Hey, I'm starting to go fishing in this local club, Peterborough B.A.S.S Masters. You should come check it out. Sign up as an onboarder." I'm like, "I like fishing. I'm competitive. I'll give it a shot." And I went out, and then I started fishing. And he, I believe, was a tournament director at the time for that club.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So I went out, and then I started doing pretty good. First year I kind of cleaned up.
That's pretty good.
Got Rookie of the Year, and I got Angler of the Year. I fished the OBN, the qualifier, and then I actually made Team Ontario and Team Canada the first shot out of the gate. And then I was like, "This is easy, boys. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you guys got nothing on, like, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm putting my foot on everyone's throat." And then year 2 was humbling, hard. Mm-hmm. So year 2 came around, and I was like, okay, I need to learn a lot. Like, I had a lot of really good boaters, I guess, in the front that was putting me on some really good stuff. And I had to learn. So that got me hooked. So I wanted to get a little bit more involved. So that got me more involved in the club. Position to open up for conservation director of the Peterborough B.A.S.S Masters. And I volunteered for that position, and I got it. I have a background. Like, I went to school, environmental resource science, Fleming, Trent here in Peterborough, Lindsay.
So tell us a little bit about like what that role entails, like at a club level.
Yeah. So with my background, I had a lot of educational background on mostly restoration ecology, so rehabilitation and fixing things that went wrong. So a lot of the conservation stuff that was going on, it was more like getting the club involved and keeping the fish alive, getting the club involved in exposure and conservation events, cleaning up where you're fishing, just leaving the resource better than when you showed up at it. So like making it a little bit cleaner, maybe sharing some knowledge that other guys didn't have, making the sport better, having better fish survival rates, having a better image overall for the club. And I was all about that. So I signed up for that, and that's where I got my toes wet.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And then now today you sit as the conservation director for all of Ontario B.A.S.S Nation, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So the OBN is considered like a state chapter pretty much in the whole B.A.S.S Nation. Okay. And it's the only one in Canada. So, you can put a little pepper on it and be like, you're the conservation director of Canada sometimes. So it's nice.
Of Canada.
But with the
titles.
Yeah, Ontario, Canada. So what I do there now is I've taken all my information and my background, and right now I work in water quality as a water treatment operator.
So that's your full-time job?
That's my full-time permanent job. I work for the MOE, and I run water treatment stations. So that's white water and wastewater. So I deal with water chemistry on a daily basis, biology, chemistry, all of that.
You probably know a lot about city water that we should never know. Like, we don't want to know, right?
Don't drink it unless they treat it. I'll tell you that. Not from the river, but it's pretty good when it comes out. Like, there's a lot of Ontario has one of the highest standards of drinking water in North America.
Oh wow!
Because of Walkerton. So
that's good to know.
Yeah, that is good to know.
Yeah,
like getting your license to be an operator. It's like an apprenticeship program. You have to be licensed. It's pretty.
See, I'm on a well, and we test it regularly.
Me too.
And I can't drink city tap water because I'm like, oh, it just tastes off to me.
Yeah,
it does taste weird.
Country boy, yeah.
Yeah, like the mineral water, it just tastes completely different, and I grew up on it, so that's just what comfortable.
I would have brought you a water sample if I knew.
Yeah, I'll look at it and send it to the lab.
Yeah.
Right. Send it to the lab.
So, okay, so you do that every day, and then as I guess this is fully volunteer position, right?
It's a fully volunteer position. So there's an executive board, and this is a volunteer position. So I'm not an official executive, but it's a volunteer appointment position. I signed up. And then my main goal now is 2 parts. It's one, to promote the Ontario B.A.S.S Nation and the B.A.S.S Nation as a whole entity.
Yep.
And then also to support all the other conservation directors that had my role, like in the club level previously, and support them with information, support the tournament directors, like, hey, it's a hot day, or hey, I had some fish mortality, or hey, I want to get involved in this program. And my job is to support them when they reach out for help for me. So I got to bring in information, bring in other people,
Pool your resources.
pool the resources, and then take all those resources and my background and help to the best of my ability. And
Right.
I don't know everything. Some people may say that I say otherwise, but my job too is also to find the answers that people need.
Right.
So
is there like, you would obviously be like a resource or a contact for every club to reach out to if questions.
absolutely.
So
And
is that like a regular thing for you? Like, hey, we're going to fish this body of water, like any, okay, I'll use an example.
sure, shoot.
St. Lawrence this weekend.
Yep.
I think you're one of your clubs, Hastings Bassmasters.
Hastings and Peterborough,
and
we're doing a dual club.
Doing a dual club thing.
Yep,
So I know for a
absolutely.
fact that Peterborough hasn't been on there.
Yep.
Was there any questions about like when that came up to that body of water? Because that's a lot different for a lot of guys to fish. First off, size of fish, quality of fish. Maybe not so much this year, like about where they're fishing, but any questions about, hey, Zach, anything we need to know before we go there? And that's not me picking on that club. I'm just using that as an example.
No, that's a perfect example. Unfortunately, it's also an unperfect example because they literally had Rustoff's down there talking to the club a couple months ago about all the
perfect.
research that they did down there. So he pretty much gave him the ticket. But yeah, if anyone had, say a club like that, had some questions like, how do I release fish? How do I fizz fish? I have resources to support them, resources to direct them. So Gene Gilliland, he's the conservation director for B.A.S.S. And what he would do is he would coordinate all that information for me, and then I can support them through that, or I can get them the information they need, be it training, visual, audio, whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like qualifier, you're heavily involved with the qualifier each year. Do you handle like the fish care for that?
Yes and no. So the tournament director kind of encompasses that. The last couple qualifiers we had here at Rice Lake, and we hired Andy, and he came in with all the equipment that he has set up for the CSFL.
Yep.
And he handled all that. He has all the permitting and the boats and everything. So I was more just.
So he brought his live release boats, the whole 9 yards.
So I came in and I was like, okay, how's this going? I'm like, it all looks good. And if there's any issues, call me. And then I just did tournament director support.
Yeah.
But this new one, it's coming up. We're going way up north.
Temiskaming?
We're going up north to Temiskaming. So I'll be coming up and I'll be fulfilling that role a little bit harder this year. And I'll be supporting in fish care, and I'll be doing like a little debrief before with the angler meeting. Like, here's some things that we've got. Here's some things that we know better now. And then I'll be helping out through the tournament as well. Yeah.
So going back to like you being a resource for the OBN clubs.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a summit or like anything that you would lead for like the conservation position in all the clubs, or is there any or is it just something that you attend in the States? Like, is there any like kind of...
You got to go to the Classic, did you not?
Yeah. Like, is there anything that you're involved with?
Yeah.
Like
I'm picking up the breadcrumbs on that one. So,
all right. Okay.
Yeah. So, two things. The first is every 2 years, all the conservation directors in the entire OBN, or not just the OBN, the entire Bass Nation. So worldwide.
Okay.
All the conservation directors get an invite to the Bassmaster Classic.
So that's every club. So if I was the conservation
club.
director in Peterborough, I would go.
Well,
No.
it's for the OBN. It's a state level.
Okay.
His position.
I got
So
understood.
everyone gets invited to send the conservation director, or if the conservation director cannot make it, they send a delegate.
Okay.
And then what they do is right now, Gene Gilliland, he's the one, he comes in and he puts on essentially during the day while the event is going on and the guys are fishing the tournament, we have a summit.
Okay.
And the summit is like this is the, I'll let you know, for all the guys that can't see, I have a piece of paper here and it's an actual list, and it'll be like the MNRs or the DNRs or the parks, Fish and Wildlife. And it's all the individuals through all the different states that are doing studies or they're doing a project, and they come in and they tell everyone about it. They're like, oh, we're doing genetic studies of Florida strain bass or F1 strain bass.
Yep.
Or we're doing stocking programs, rehabilitation programs, chemistry programs, forward-facing sonar information and studies on sonar.
Oh,
and
we're gonna
affecting
get
on
into
fish
we're gonna
and
get
stuff
into
like
that.
Nice.
So what they do is they bring all the conservation directors together. They say, we're going to pay for everything but your travel. So you show up, they cover the cost of the hotel for us.
Nice.
That was amazing. They covered food and they catered for us while we were there, so we didn't have to worry about it. And then that itself was put on in part mostly by AFCO. they support the conservation program through them. That's their direct sponsor through the OBN.
So for those of you who don't know, AFCO is like a large clothing brand in fishing, which I'm sure most of our listeners will know that, but if you don't, now you do.
Yeah.
And they're a big supporter of these programs.
Yeah. And so they come forward and they help support this along with all the other BASS sponsors that come forward and support this. And they get us all together. And then what they do when they get us all together is they also make us talk with each other. Because a lot of guys are like, hey, I'm doing this project. And there's a guy 2 feet away from me like, hey, I already did that. Here's all my information. Here's my contacts.
There you go. It makes sense.
Yeah. And it brings all the best minds together and it gives us all the most current information. And then we take all that back to all our clubs for our support role for everyone else that's going on here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So is there anything exciting that OBN is working on right now or anything big coming up that you want to tell us about with a conservation program?
Yeah, so 2 things. The first thing is it's a pretty good program, and it's called the AFCO Bank Bag. And what it is a program. So that's the first of 2.
Okay.
That's the not secret one. The other one I haven't told anyone. We're dropping it here first.
So we're breaking news tonight.
You're like 5
Where's
people.
the drum
maybe.
roll, please?
Oh yeah, hang on.
This
Here we
one.
go. Ready? Ready? Everybody ready?
Perfect.
Boom.
So the first one, it's not so secret, is the AFCO Bank Bag program. And what it is, it's a program that AFCO provides bank bags, which I brought some here.
Let's see them.
Here we go. Pass them out. I got a couple.
So we'll post this on. We're gonna take a picture of Zach holding this up after, so we can post this on our story. So this is pretty cool. So literally, this is like for cleaning up trash.
Yeah, so it's a bag that's big enough to hold a substantial amount of trash with some handles on it that you can fill up, and it's not too big, you can't pile it up. And it's meant to give to a lot of program, like conservation directors have roadside cleanups or park cleanups or shoreline cleanups, and this is to support that.
Nice.
And then what they do with that is we have a whole bunch of little, AFCO also provides a whole bunch of little giveaways, which I also brought.
Wicked.
Hogtown's doing that this year. We actually bought our own trash bags, and any launches that we go to, if there's garbage, we pick it up.
I'm pretty sure we can
You
grab
get
you
a
some
hold of
bank
me,
bags.
and then
right?
what they do is they provide things for people that come out to help. So some of them they have AFCO hats here.
Nice.
They have AFCO. Oh, I'm just pulling out this.
Look at this. He's got a whole grab. He's
Jesus.
got
Oh,
a
yeah,
whole
he
grab
does.
bag here.
Here we
Wow.
go.
Nice.
Nice.
They also have stickers.
Wow.
Those are cool
let me see
stickers.
those.
That's
Let me see
pretty- you
those.
can't see those.
So we have a whole bunch of
Come on,
different kinds of
come on,
stuff like
come on.
that. As well, they actually have. I didn't get any of the buffs, but they also sent me up their. So that's a microfiber cloth for cleaning the lens on your.
Sweet.
Speaking of buffs,
Oh, yeah,
I
sweet.
have buffs for all you guys. I've left them inside, but I got them.
Yeah, so,
Nice.
So what it is, it's a reward kind of. So what we say, hey,
Very
you want to come out and you volunteer.
Yeah.
You want to make the world a better place. You want to involve yourself in conservation. You want to take the effort to go out and actively do something. We're going to provide you the means to do it. And we also got a little something to say thank you. So this is something new that just came in. Like I got these like a week ago. All
Nice.
this information, all this a
And
week ago.
you're distributing these to the clubs that are participating?
The clubs found out about it yesterday before I came on. So it got sent out to all the presidents and
Nice.
the conservation directors, I believe. Andy sent that out. And so now they can contact me. And if they have a program coming up, we will support them with this. And they also provide a fish care card, or a little fish care package booklet that's also right
Let's see
here
those.
as well.
Let's see those. So this is basically what Zach's passing around right now is a pamphlet, Bass Care 101, a brief guide on how to best take care of your catch prior to release.
Yeah, and this isn't directly, say you're a tournament fisherman, you've been doing it for 15 years. This is for everybody. There's a little something in there for you. There's a little
Just
something.
bass.
Yeah, but it's transferable, right? Like handling and care and hook removal and making sure they're not out of the water for long and holding them.
I love how they picture the bad hold. That is
Yeah.
such a popular thing to see in photos, and it's unfortunate, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
dislocating
You're breaking
that
their
mandible.
jaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is cool, man. This is great stuff. See, it's so awesome what like the initiative that, you know, BASS and AFCO stepping up and OBN and what you're doing, Zach, to get it down to our level.
Incredible.
This is incredible.
It's about time.
And
This is, I believe, the first time that this program has officially gone out of the U.S. and international. And it's the first time it's come into Canada.
that's awesome. Let's give applause for that.
So we're going to be dropping tags and likes and everything just to support that and support the conversation. And but that's not it. That's not everything.
We got more.
We got more.
We're breaking news right now.
Breaking news. So
Okay.
I kept it for you guys.
Here we go.
Drum roll.
I don't know if I have a good sound effect for this one. All right.
I don't know, just pick one and we'll roll
Pick,
with it.
we'll roll with it.
Sure, why not?
Oh, no, I
As long as
can't.
it's not like
Give him a.
Here we go.
Make your voice go and then do the monster truck.
The monster truck one? You
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's what we want to do?
Yeah, yeah.
What do we say?
You're gonna say like.
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news.
I'll roll with it.
We're low budget here.
So first, I'm just gonna set the stage. You know,
Okay, we're
a
setting
little
the stage.
little razzmatazz
Yeah.
going on. Jazz
Okay.
hands, jazz fingers.
I'm getting excited here.
Yeah.
You're making me nervous.
So there's a bass organization in the States that is a bipartisan organization that is supporting bass fishery conservation and education. It's called the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. You may have heard it. People sit on the board
Oh,
like
we've heard of it.
KVD and Brandon Polinick and other people in alternate organization and a lot of like industry professionals and media.
Yeah.
They all sit on this. Gene sits on
Yeah.
it as well. And so what they have is they have a scholarship and a grant program. So a scholarship program that anyone can apply for, Canada and US. The scholarship program is for anyone that wants to become involved and become a conservation biologist, specifically to do with fisheries biology.
That's amazing.
And they will give you thousands of dollars, and it's an American fund. So say you get a $5,000 grant from them, that equates to like $7,000 in Canada, which
Yeah.
is even nicer. So, but they also have a conservation program, a grant program. We've applied, I think, a couple times, but this is the first year that we got it.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, so
That's
we got
awesome.
We got the max grant. We got a $5,000 US grant from the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
Wow.
We got called up and sent an email that congratulations, you got it. And this program is a collective between us and Watersheds Canada. So Watersheds Canada, a lot of bass anglers, as you know, a lot of conservation programs are going on and stuff like that. But if you ever gone bass fishing, you might have been yelled at by a guy on a dock
Oh yeah.
A couple times.
a couple times. And some people are like, oh, we don't like the noise of the boats and stuff like that. But what we're trying to do conservation wise is make partners that have mutual goals in conservation and mutual like aspirations to make the world a better place. And this is one that we found. So we are partnering with them, and we're going to be doing restoration on fisheries and spawning habitat in southern Ontario on a lot of lakes that are attached to tributaries going into Lake Ontario. So first time I believe the grant's gone international, and first time I believe the grant's gone north of the border as well.
That's
Perfect.
awesome.
Sweet.
Good
Well,
job.
congrats, OBN.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
OBN, everybody involved.
Yeah.
Was it a process to apply for it?
You want to know what? It's one of the easiest applications you could
Yeah.
do. I have no idea why there isn't 1,000 applications every single year. You
So-
just go on and it's a form and you just fill it out. And AFCO has another one as well that you can apply for.
Yep.
And it's the exact same form, exact same format, but on a different page.
So if anybody that's an OBN member right now wants to get involved with this or help or is there any way to get involved?
Yeah. So there's two parts. So the first part is if any OBN member or any member whatsoever want to apply to this grant, it doesn't have to be a bass membership. They support fishery projects, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
Okay.
They promote projects that help fisheries and bass fisheries. So what you can do is you can apply, and you can be on the club level, you can be on the OBN level, you can be on any level that you want, and you can be a state organization to go and apply for this as well.
Gotcha.
I like that.
With this specific one, we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and then one of the leaders in that organization, Robert. I used to work with him at the OFAH. As soon as we're getting all this wrapped up, we're going to have calls for volunteers, and we're going to bring that out to the clubs. And when we start doing that work, we're going to be pulling and offering it to all clubs, like youth, juniors, the high schools, all the clubs. We're going to be doing a call for action, and then we can combine their efforts with cottages associations, and they can get access and they can get funds and grants in locations that we can't. And what we're doing is we're going to work in tandem, pool our money, and get a way better bang for your buck and a way better resource improvement for fisheries habitat.
Amazing. Well, hats off, man, for leading the charge on this and getting the grant.
That's pretty
getting
exciting.
it done. But now,
Good for you,
but now the thing is, like, you guys got the grant and now it's execution time, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be exciting to kind of follow this along. So are you guys going to like kind of update throughout as you guys kind of use this grant?
Absolutely. So one of the processes of the grant is you have to do mandatory updates. Like,
And where will those updates go?
so those updates, we're going to be generating them with Watersheds Canada.
Okay.
And what we are going to do is we're going to take those updates and we have to submit them. In any case, we have to submit them to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame so they can see or track our progress.
Makes sense.
And that's video, that's photo, and that's documentation, like where are funds going. They want to be fiscally responsible with their money, and they want to know where it's going, and they want to see that you're actually doing the project that you applied that you're going to do. And then as we do those projects, as we get those updates, we're going to share them, obviously, through our media outlets, through our Facebook and all our... we have a mailer that you can sign up for. We'll be releasing that as well.
So this grant,
Yep.
is it enough to get done what you feel like needs to be done with this particular project?
No, this you could dump as much money as you wanted into conservation to make the world a better place. And it's not that this grant isn't doing that. It's an awesome injection. But this is a program too that is kind of being spearheaded by the watershed side. And we found them and they found us through a partnership. And we want to grow with this together. And we want to apply for more together.
Yeah.
We're going to apply again next year.
So you're joining an already established organization with this goal that's done all the research and stuff.
And they're
It's just-
joining us, the OBN, as an established organization as well. So what we're doing is we're saying, hey,
So
we like having this resource. We want it for our kids. We want it for our grandkids. We want to make it better than we found it. Let's do that together.
So
Nice.
if an individual wanted to donate to your guys' cause, could he?
Yep. So right now, the OBN doesn't have anything set up specifically for that.
Yep.
But that's one of the things that we're going to be trying to figure out is being able to have something so we can funnel that in through that and funnel that into that project. Or if that project's being spearheaded, then we can make sure that the resources that needs to go where it needs to go is getting
So-
allocated properly.
So you're going to let us know at CANCAST when we can help?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Because I'm going to go on record right now and say at CANCAST, we're going to donate $1,000
That's awesome.
right
Wow.
now between us from the show.
Very
Hit
good.
that applause button.
There you go.
All right.
No, that's amazing.
You
And
boys good with that?
Yeah, I'm down.
Absolutely.
So going forward now,
Absolutely.
I'm going to make a pledge too. And I'm just, because you've inspired me, this is coming off. Every year we will do something with CANCAST to help with conservation from any proceeds from the
Oh, I
show.
love it.
That's awesome.
So I mean, it's awesome. We want to be part of it. The whole point of CANCAST is always let's bring everyone fishing together. That's what we've always sold, and we want to support this. So whenever the time comes that we can donate it, you got $1,000 from CANCAST to go with that
That's amazing.
$5,000 US grant you have.
see
Canadian.
it, but I'm-
1,000 Canadian.
Yeah, there you go. You got my word on it. Like you got our word on it. Three of us.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we're good.
Easy.
I'll drop it in there. You tell us when, and Leanne will transfer it over.
No,
So
that's amazing. Yeah. No, I will tie you in, and we'll include you. We dropped it here first. We're gonna be,
we're not looking for any. We just want to support. Like don't.
oh, that's awesome.
We're not looking for any crazy recognition or anything in return. We want to support you guys and
I'll
what
give
you're
you a big
doing.
hug.
Wouldn't mind some of those yellow bags.
Yeah.
And that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And
Well, sets them up for Hogtown because that's what we're doing this year.
yeah,
so.
and if any conservation director or any youth or any high school program or anything is out there right now and they want to, they can get a hold of me. I'm going to give all that information for my contact through the OBN for the conservation, my email contact and everything like that. I'll give that to you guys, and you guys can post, distribute, share if anyone asks
For sure.
or inquires. You can forward that along, and
We're
I'll be
here.
more than happy to help.
We're here to help.
I've got a question.
Shoot.
So, do you see in the foreseeable future an opportunity to actually stock bass?
That's a loaded question, but not really. Just based on the biology. So
But are they stocking them? Aren't they not stocking them in U.S. lakes? And
Every
ponds?
U.S. lake.
yeah, so the U.S. system and the Canadian system's a little different. So a lot of their systems are reservoir type. So the Army Corps of Engineers has dammed up watershed or dammed up waterways,
Right.
and made pools or made impoundments. And then because they've done that, they've pretty much created a water body that didn't exist before, and then they stock it. Up here in Canada,
We're natural lakes.
we're almost 100% natural lakes, and on top of that, they get like next to no pressure. We get like 6 months to fish with them, maybe because of the season, and then they're untouched. So we have the processes set up biologically already for that population to sustain itself. Where in the U.S. they may not have that, or it can't sustain itself to a certain degree, and they have to, like a stocked fishery, they have to keep on renewing that resource in order for it to be enjoyed. So the stocking program in the States is not just, it's a benefit for conservation, but it's also a necessity in some locations.
To keep it going.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can't speak to everything 100% perfectly, but that's like one main difference. Like they have a lot of impoundments. They have a lot of like, you know, they've put in a giant dam with the Army Corps engineers, and they've back flooded and you have houses and roadways and railways and stuff like that are underneath. We don't have that in Canada. We have 10,000 lakes plus just in Ontario, and that's kind of like unheard of.
So it truly is amazing to see like how far fish care has come. Like so like I mean the first bass tournaments, like those guys are bringing them in on a stringer and filleting these things. Like that's
just
you know, and
slabbing them.
And the whole live release thing, you know, like Ray Scott was really the big pioneer of that, right? You know, from Bass. And it's just amazing. Like I was watching an old video, I don't know, a few months ago about like early bass tournaments, like literally like holding a stringer of fish, right? Like such a different mentality now.
Yeah.
So I got a couple questions.
Shoot.
I'm gonna ask stuff, and it's gonna be pretty fish care oriented. So, and if you want to touch on anything else, we'll go back to it. But before we get into this, I got to do a little sponsor shout out for this podcast. Jeff Jigs. We talked about him a bit last episode, but Jeff has once again stepped up, sponsored another episode. So Jeff sent us out some stuff. We're gonna give this away. We're gonna post a question.
We got to give all that away?
Well, I kind of want to fish one of these fluffs this week on the
I've got one tied up on my rod.
Take a look at it, guys. So Jeff is a young 16-year-old young man who attention to detail is second to none. The way this guy, you know, frets everything, ties it, the hook qualities he's using. You guys met this young man at CANCAST.
We did. Very impressed by him.
And we said it last episode too. This kid's the real deal. This kid's like a Damien. Like this kid's gonna go far in fishing. This kid puts so much time into tying these jigs, so much time. Like it's amazing, like hours and hours and hours a week. So this is one of those guys that, you know, supports fishing. He's 16 years old, guys. He's going to trade shows. He's supporting the industry. He's always willing to help. You know, he helped out the average Ontario angler guys with an episode. He's always asked to help us out with stuff. And he makes some really cool jigs, bucktails. He's got some fluff going on here. He's got some tube jigs. He's got all sorts of different colors. You know, just a lot of really cool stuff, different sizes. So you can check him out on Instagram, Jeff's Jigs, Facebook. He's working on his website right now, but you can message him, order what you need to. He's got it, you know, going into different stores and stuff. But get in touch with Jeff. You'll make this kid's year, and I mean that with all the respect in the world, Jeff. He's so passionate when he makes a sale. You get what I mean? Like he loves it. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna put some of these to the test this weekend on the St. Lawrence, aren't we, boys?
Yes, we are.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then we're gonna give some away too. So we'll post that up here at the end of the episode. We'll probably do a trivia question with Zach. But I just want to give a shout out to Jeff Jigs for stepping up, because that's what CANCAST is. Every week, hey, we get the amazing vendors going, hey, how can we help? And Jeff stepped up.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
So back to you, Zach. Okay.
Yep.
So fish care. I have a question about, and first off, I know the answers to some of these, but I want to just get them out there, and I'm going to probably play devil's advocate, whether I agree with it or not, because I want to see what Zach says.
Shoot.
So I want to go on record.
Yep.
Opinion on live release boats. Do they work? Do they have to be ran properly? Do they work all the time? Is that the best way to do release as a live
You're
release
really
boat?
putting me on the spot here.
Yeah. Now, and also, guys, I will say that Zach's opinions are his own, right?
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
Zach is speaking for himself. He's not speaking on behalf of the OBN right now. I'm asking Zach as a friend what his opinion is.
So, as me, when you look at fish care overall, there's so many factors that are taken in. So, even just water, the ability for water to hold dissolved oxygen changes at the temperature that it's at.
Okay.
So, the warmer and the colder it is, the more it expands. So, 4 degrees Celsius water is at its densest, and it can hold the most amount of dissolved oxygen. And then as you move on either side of that scale, you start to lose it. So there's factors that you can't control. So when you're looking at fish care like that, the main goal, what do you want to see is good, better, best.
Okay.
So you want to have a fish care and fish delivery system that is good. And the best thing that you can do is look at that system and tweak it to better. And you're always trying to improve it. So fish release boats, I believe, are a good thing, but they need to be done right. You need to be able to have the right amount of fish, the right amount of poundage of bass per water tank with dissolved oxygen content. And you need to be able to replenish that oxygen faster than it's being respirated through the fish. And you have to be able to eliminate the buildup of ammonia inside of that from fish excrement.
That's
So
a big one.
Yeah. So if you can do that, that's good. That's really good. That's the aim of it. Better is live release locations. You dumping it all into one location, you're gonna overload an individual location with bass.
So that was my next question.
Yeah. So there's a couple in this. So there was one study done down at the conservation summit, and they were talking about fizzed bass. And so fizzing bass, good. You want them to be able to be fizz. You want them to be upright, and you want them to be able to stabilize so they don't float when you're pulling them from depths. Because
So let's just take a step back though, because we have a lot of listeners that have never fizzed a fish in their life. So let's
Or
explain,
even know what it
let's
is.
explain the process.
okay. I'll roll it back. You're on the St. Lawrence this weekend.
Yeah.
And you're fishing and you see on your live scope there a nice little dot in 35, 40 feet. You launch down there, you peg that little bugger, and you get him, flip him into the boat.
Do you have a waypoint?
Not yet. We haven't found him yet. We're live scoping. We're not waypoint.
Yeah.
So you get him into the boat. He's in the box. And you look into the box and he looks all right. 5 minutes later, you look in and you know how that like nice dark brown is starting to get a little tan.
Yeah.
And he's starting to float on his side.
Yep.
What's happening actually inside of the fish is they have a bladder system inside of them, and it's kind of like it's like a keel. It keeps them upright, and they're little sacks of air that they can fill or empty to balance themselves, but also to be able to buoyant themselves through the water column.
Okay.
So what happens is the water a lot deeper because of the weight of all the water on top of that, without getting into too much math and gravity and all that other stuff. The pressure is condensing it. So when you pull it up, it's expanding. So when you pull it up, those air bladders are expanding. So the amount of air at 35 feet increases in size when you bring it up to the surface. So now those little airbags inside of that fish's body have expanded and they become big airbags. Big airbags float. The airbags are located on the lower half, like below the ladder line in the belly of the fish. Fish turns right side up or wrong side up and floats upside down. And then you have a stressed fish and you have a stressed fish floating upside down, which is stressing it even more. And it's not good. It's like you being hanged from your ankles.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, to alleviate that, there's called a fizzing. You can get a fizzer, fish fizzer. Essentially, it's a hypodermic needle.
And where can an angler get one?
So,
like, are tackle stores carrying these?
a lot of them are locally made by individuals. So there's a lady in the OBN that was with the OBN, though she was making them Barb Elliott, and she was selling them at a lot of the events.
Yep.
And some people can buy them, but essentially what it is just a hypodermic needle, like a needle that you could go to like a TSC store or PV Mart and pick up. And there's a specific location, you can count down so many scales up and down, and you poke the fish. And when you poke the fish, what it does is it releases some of that air, and you can release that air from the fish enough for that fish to become upright and de-stress it.
And then put it in your live well?
And then put it back in your live well.
And you're
Take
doing this
pictures or
underwater,
release it.
correct? You're putting it back in and then releasing it underwater.
Yeah.
So you're recommending fizzing this fish regardless if you're keeping it or not. You to put it back in.
Yes.
Release it. Okay.
Yeah. So now what happens with that is when you go to release that fish, there are some studies that have been done, and there was a lecture on this at the summit, And right now, Gene Gilliland, so I can will reference it. But Gene, what he's doing is he's hoping or aiming to make all of those into viewable YouTube videos. So you can see this information being laid out. So when that gets laid out, I will for sure forward that information over.
That was gonna be my next question. If you can make a video, but it sounds like we got one coming. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And there's probably lots on YouTube already.
Yeah, and these are done by fisheries biologists.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they were saying is, so if you see a fish released and it's floating, it can't expel the air fast enough for it to right itself and then go back down.
Okay.
And then now we're also seeing sometimes if you fizz the fish, and you put the fish back in, it rights itself and it goes down, it'll go down, it'll kind of sit on the bottom, but you can't do it too deep. That's another thing. So you can't release a fish. I don't want to say can't, but ideally you want to release the fish around like what we're being told or what we're being shown is kind of like 20 to 30 feet. Because say you have a fizzed fish and you fizzed it, maybe fizzed it a little too much. So normally 20 feet, it'll go down, it'll be all right. It'll right itself, it'll do its thing, and then it'll go. But imagine you go out a little too far in Lake Ontario and you drop that in 95 feet. I don't know if he's making her back up. So it's to full circle this back to the boat, it's where are you releasing it and how are you releasing them? Are you releasing them fizzed and not flipped upside down? Are you releasing them with proper oxygenation so they're healthy when you're releasing them? Are you releasing them into a place that has the ability for them to have cover to recover from being caught and handled through the tournament fishing process?
Yeah.
So is there structure for them to go to? Is there a weed line for them to hide into? Is there something for them to disperse into and just chill after being manhandled?
So you guys, Sean and Mark, have ran a live release boat before, correct?
Yeah.
Quite a bunch.
Yeah.
So like, would you guys release them all, like spread them out, or do you release them in one spot?
It depends if I was fishing there that weekend or not.
Yeah.
No, what I can say is that the CSFL's live release boat is second to none. The oxygenator system in that is unbelievable. There was always a mountain of ice to keep the water nice and cool. We would never fill it all the way to the top. There's a excuse me, a special machine that we would be checking the waste levels and oxygen levels constantly.
Like they had oxygen tanks.
Right.
They had pure oxygen ready to
And
go.
now we weren't allowed to go anywhere in that boat without Andy checking everything and making sure with his own eyes that everything was working perfectly.
Yeah.
He would lose his mind.
Yeah.
Right? He wants to know everything is perfect. And then, okay, guys, do your job. Right? So if the waste level got a little too high, we had the pumps. We could throw them right overboard and start pumping new water in, pump old water out.
That's perfect.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, we could change the water real easy.
And they're licensed too. So because the live release boat is holding more than what an average angler could get with a license, you have to apply to the
we're
MNR.
over limit.
So you have to apply to the MNR for a license to be able to hold that many fish for that purpose. So another thing, and you don't want to jeopardize that possibility of getting that license again. And there's, obviously you have to have minimum quality standards in order to be able to perform that fish care to show that you can do it to be able to get that license.
And I don't want to pick on it because there's lots of amazing tournament series out there that don't have a live release boat but have good fish care plans in place, right? So that's a big part of it. So I'm not just saying that's the only way to go. You hear stories like one event in the States, like the fish all died in the live release boat. But that just sounds like it was somebody not doing their job properly or whatnot.
Monitoring, constant monitoring in that situation is key.
That's why I brought it up. So,
or maybe they didn't have somebody that was on a conservation board with the knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. You guys keep going. Ask Zach a question. I'm just going to grab something because I got another question for him.
You got
Another one.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
Perfect. So if you want, I can just go over some of the stuff that we went down there. That was pretty
Tell us
interesting.
about the class when you were down in the classes. Did you get to go underneath the stage? Like, were you in that capacity down there?
That's a story. So the first day during the conference, Gene's like, hey, anybody, all the conservation directors, check your passes. And we look at the passes, and you know how you can go down, you're a member, and you get that little pass that's hanging around your neck. And there's little dots on it.
Yep.
And some of
Gives
the
you
dots are like
access.
conservation, backstage pass and all this other. We had pretty much everything except for what the anglers had, or if we were on the production crew, like all the conservation director, because what they want to do is this is the pinnacle of bass fishing, the Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
We want you to see how it works.
Yeah.
We want you to know how it works. We want you to ask questions, and we want you to bring that information back to your state or club or nation. So we got to go back there. I'm sitting back there. I believe it was the representative from Minnesota too. So we were like, hey, we're both Northern boys. Let's just go down and check it out. We go in. We can't find the way to get in the OK stadium. So we're like, okay. So we walk all the way around, sneak in through the back, and we start flashing badges. And they're like, oh yeah, we're good.
Yep.
We're walking by all the anglers, getting in line and stuff like that. Yeah, we're good. And we're behind the stage. And then the Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
I always wanted to go there.
The Oklahoma Fish and Wildlife Service and DNR, or forgive me, I don't know which one it is inside of it, but they were there. And I just started talking to the guys at the tank. Like, hey, how's it going? Like, what do you do? Like, oh, we're salting the water and oxygenating the water. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. This is our process. This is how we get them from the stage back. This is how we hold them. They had like multiple trucks ready to go. And once a truck had so many individual bass inside of it, then they'd drive it. It's gone. And they had like 12 or 14 people there all monitoring different.
And we're talking the Bassmaster Classic too. Now, this lake to the venue was an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, it was a long way.
They had oxygen tanks and salinating the water, and they were monitoring like everything. And it was actually like a well-oiled machine that was there, and it was awesome. So we're just sitting there, and then my buddy there, he turns around and says, hey man, you got a Sharpie? I'm like, yeah, because we just came from the convention. I'm like, hey man, like let's get some signatures, some cool guys. I turn around. There's Johnny Morris, KVD, Rick Clun, and Dance standing right behind me, and he's trying to jack the Sharpie off me so he can get them to sign it. And you're like, what do you do? Like, and then they all signed it and they all left except for Rick Clun. You're just sitting there and you're just like, hey, how's it going? Like, what do you do when you're facing a guy who's been doing it for 50 years and there's guys fishing that looked up to him. And he's inspiring like second and third generations now. So it was actually pretty cool doing that.
He was probably one of those guys that brought one in on a stringer back in the day.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Wearing his overalls.
Oh yeah. So that was like a highlight. That was like one of the coolest things. So,
that's super cool.
Yeah, and you got to go back and see all the guys there. Like, so essentially when they were coming out the gate and they opened that and the truck came right beside the stage, I think where they stepped off the boat to the stage, I think it was like 40, 50 feet behind that. Just watching everything is pretty cool.
So what it goes? They drop them down from the stage. Is that right?
So they drop them down to the stage, and then there's runners that are under, and they pull them back, and then the runners come back, and then they take the fish and they immediately put them into the travel tanks, and then inside of those travel tanks, then they monitor them, and if there's any fish that are stressed, then they deal with those or separate those fish to de-stress them or fizz them or give them additional attention or care. Also, like if you have a fish that expires too, you have to take that into account.
Yep.
So they would do that, and it was like clockwork. There was a whole bunch of them there, and they were just professionals, A-class, top notch. Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
What do you know about G-Juice? I want to go over a couple of things.
Yeah.
Tell me about G-Juice. And tell me about pouring pop on gills, soda on gills. Is it an old wives' tale?
It's not a wives' tale. It works.
Does it work? So let's explain. Do you know much about G-Juice? I'm putting you on the spot here.
So
we all use it.
I'm going to answer it in reverse. I'm going to answer the second question first, and then to that one. So the second question is an easy one. The pop on the gills or the Mountain Dew on the gills. There actually was a presentation, and one of the guys did a study on it. And what they did is they had fish, and they caught the fish, and they snipped the gill of the fish to make it bleed. And then what they did, some fish they left alone, some fish they poured like Coca-Cola on, some fish they poured Mountain Dew on, some fish they poured like additives on to see what would happen. And then they monitored the fish for the equivalency of like releasing it or being in the live well. And the data, so I'm not saying 100% definitive, but the data showed what happened is when you did that, what actually happened was the fish, you put the fish in a shock state, and the fish kind of shocked. So it was like, oh, and it slowed down. But then what would happen, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes later, the bleeding would come back and continue until it clotted naturally. So it doesn't, pouring it, all you do is you shock the fish. Or the data was saying or showing that what happens when you do that is you shock the fish, it slows the bleeding down, and then the bleeding either comes back or it clots, but it would have come back or clotted on its own anyway.
Okay.
So it's not really, you're not really doing anything.
You're shocking the fish
And
and
that's
just
it.
stopping bleeding.
Stopping bleeding.
Yeah.
Huh.
I've fed a bunch of fish Red Bull.
Yeah.
Look, some of these I am guilty of too. I may or may not admit to some of them, but that's the point of the education. Someone took the time to do a study in university on this, do this, come up and be like, well, what if one guy would be like, oh, what if it's Coca-Cola? What if it's Mountain Dew? What if it's whatever?
Right.
And they went and they did the study.
Yep.
And that was one of the presentations that was made to us.
That's cool.
Is they had some information on that.
Did they try Monster? Because I know it works.
I do not know, but that fish would probably be wired and the heart rate would go sky.
So let's talk about shock though.
Yeah.
So, and we'll kind of come back to G-Juice later. Well, live well management.
Yeah.
Well, it's G-Juice. What about the effects of pouring ice in? Because I'm just thinking out loud here. We're talking about what ice is made out of, what's in that water. Is it city? Is there anything in there? Is there anything that's going to affect the fish?
You're touching on a bunch of subjects there. So, first and foremost, the number one thing that you need to think about in your live well is the fish and the oxygen level. If the fish can't breathe, it's dying or it's being stressed, and you're putting it in a position where it doesn't have the best ability for release. And as a fisherman, you want to maintain that. So the biggest thing that you need to do is your dissolved oxygen level. 5 parts per million dissolved oxygen at that or below is starting to get into bad news bears for fish in general. You want above that. That's not good area. You're getting into the danger zone. She's getting orange and red pretty quick.
Yep.
So what you want to be able to do is provide enough oxygen inside of your live well to be able to counteract the respiration of the fish. So if you have 1, 2, 3, hopefully you have 5 pounders and they're just giant slabs in there, but you have to renew the oxygen at a level faster than they are respirating it out. Now, ice. Ice is good because it cools the temperature of the water. And if you have proper aeration inside of it, what it can do is allow for more dissolved oxygen to be dissolved inside of your system. Also, if you start on a cool day or you pull a fish up deep and you don't want to temperature shock it, you can put ice or cooling products inside of your water, like an ice pack or something, to cool it, to ease that transition of that fish. So if you're taking a fish from 4 degrees Celsius and you're putting it in 23 degrees Celsius surface temp water, that's a bit of a shock for anybody, right? That's a polar plunge for them, but in reverse. So, but putting the ice in doesn't inherently help the oxygen level inside of the tank. Plus, if you get ice that's been made inside of a city and it has chlorine inside of it,
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
the chlorine can irritate the fish's gills. Depending on the concentration, how much is in there, chlorine naturally dissipates inside. We use it for water treatment, and you treat with chlorine, and it naturally get off gases and dissipates if you let it sit long enough. But if you're it is an irritant to the fish, so it's not ideal. So if you're going to be using ice, use dechlorinated ice. But ice doesn't specifically work if the tank is not getting enough oxygen. You could turn it into an ice cube, and there's not enough. It doesn't matter. If you're outside, and you're choking and it's hot, and you go inside and it's AC and cooled, and the air quality is the same inside the house, you're still choking, but you're just cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So the main key that you want to do is oxygen content.
Yeah, we would never break the bags and just pour the ice in. The bags would stay sealed or they'd stay tied, and we would put the bags in.
And that's great practice if you don't know that if there's chlorine or not in the ice.
Right.
And that's a great regulator as well.
And it would make it last way longer anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it keeps that bag of water separate pretty much. Like you still get a little leakage, right?
I don't know.
It is what it is, but not.
Whenever I pull mine out, it's just a bag.
Yeah.
You know, and I've never pricked anything.
There's
or
no
broke it
way
open.
you have caught a fish
No.
big enough to rip a bag open.
Dude, I'm telling you,
In your live well.
giant.
When was the last
Giant.
time you had to ice a live well?
Oh my
It
god!
was 85, and I won.
You were one of those guys that brought him in on a stringer too back in '55, weren't you?
Yeah, you just put them
I
on ice
was.
so they're easier to clean.
When we were a kid, we put bass on stringers 100%. Yeah, then we ate them.
So that leads into things that are in your live well. So like you can get oxygenators that work on electrolysis that separate the hydrogen and the oxygen in the water electrically
Yeah.
and bubble inside of the water. Another thing you can do is attach literally into your boat. So Texas Parks and Wildlife Department in Texas, obviously, they've developed a system where you can put a dissolved oxygen bottle inside that's feeding into your aeration system to aerate your live well.
Well, it's like those new Icon boats. Like they have like I don't think they have oxygen. They got the whole cooling system in the live well.
And that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. That's good.
Yeah.
But a good, better, best.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're looking at good, better, best. I'm not saying this is horrible. This is bad. If you're doing something, that's better than doing nothing.
So
Okay, so I finished my season. I put my boat away. I open it up the next year. I'm getting ready. What is a great way to clean my live well system before I put fish in it?
So this is what I do. The first thing I do is you just want to do a water flush because if you're winterizing your boat, you've probably put some kind of antifreeze system inside of it. So you want to get rid. So what you can do is you can get a non-toxic one that doesn't have alcohol in it. That's probably the best for you.
and that's pretty common. Like RV stuff's
RVs,
non-toxic.
yeah, absolutely.
and-
Cottages and stuff like that. They fill their plumbing with that. Then what you want to do is after you do that wash, you want to open up your circulating pumps and clean any of the gunk that's in there. Because say you have bacteria left over, only a couple of them. You know, cold weather doesn't kill everything, and you don't want that regrowing and having an issue. So what you're going to do is you're going to clean that out, and then most of the time it's you do a clean. You can do a vinegar clean. Some people can do a bleach clean. Fill it up halfway, circulate a little bit, wash it with Dawn soap, like just soap, circulate it out, and then just rinse it clean until you can't smell the chemicals. Till you can't iron it crystal clear. You're good to go.
How about peroxide? Would peroxide have a negative influence on the fish at all?
So peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, when you put it inside, yes, it adds oxygen, but the same thing, putting hydrogen peroxide, good, better, best, it's not, I wouldn't recommend it. Have you ever put hydrogen peroxide on yourself?
Yeah,
And if you poured that, say, on a gill or a lung, would that feel the greatest?
probably not.
So,
But to clean,
Like to clean it at
to
the end of the
clean it.
year,
Oh,
you mean?
Yeah.
To clean.
It'll go in and it'll like get rid of organics and kill it and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's meant as a.
yeah, I'm talking about
Not
it as
a
a cleaning
nagging
product.
Not
Oh,
a-
I
no,
thought you were
no.
talking about pouring that
No,
on the fish
no.
thrown around. I'm like, I don't politely say I don't think that's a good idea.
There goes a
It's-
quarter pound.
He just assumed because he knows you're not smart.
Yeah, well.
But it's a good point though. Like, not enough guys clean their live wells regularly during the season.
So
And there's a lot of dirty live wells. You ever like get in some of your buddies'
had
boats
that.
and you like go put a fish in, their first fish of the day, and you're like, what is going on in here?
I was
It's
guilty
like
of
a
that.
swamp.
I had
right?
I was guilty of that. I had a live well that I didn't clean up. I let it sit for like a month. I had a tournament and I'm like, these fish aren't looking good. Like, what the heck? So I was like, I gotta be better. So I cleaned my whole system. Next tournament, not an issue. And I was like, that's like, it had to be. It was
Had
the
to
only
be.
factor that was different. Less than 24 hours different between the two.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'll tell you the key right now to the most healthy fish that you can get inside of your live well. Studies have been done on it. The OBN did a study on it at a qualifier too. We went around and we had Jason, the conservation director before me, he went around with a dissolved oxygen meter to every boat and he recorded what kind of boat you had, the live well that you had. So did you have one pump, two? Was it a Tsunami 5? Like these are questions that were
Yeah.
being asked if you knew the boat size and make. So like some people are like, this boat makes better than that boat make, and vice versa. And then the only difference that we were mainly looking at was people that had circulated live wells and non-circulated live wells. And this is what we found. The circulated live well, so when you come in, you're like, oh, like this is a shallow, little bit warmer water at the end of the day near the dock tournament, lock it off. Those fish had the worst turnout rates. Those were the fish in the tournament that had fishermen that had expired fish or fish that had issues. And those were the fish that looked the least healthy.
So the waste.
So what is happening is, like I said before, it's all about oxygen content. Let's say it's not the best oxygen content and it's warm, but it's 6 parts per million or 8 parts per million in the water. That's a constant infinity, essentially your boat. That's an infinity level of 8 milligrams. That means if you constantly pump that 8 milligrams per liter dissolved oxygen into your live well, you are never going to hit that 5 milligrams per liter for that fish. The second you cut off that circulation, what you have, it's an XY kind of relationship. So X is how much oxygen do you have in your live well when you shut that circulation off. And the Y factor that's being minused from that every minute is how many pounds of bass or how much bass is respirating how much oxygen. So if you have a lot of oxygen in there and the bass are respirating, so say you have, X amount and then you're only taking a little bit of oxygen. Say you have 100 parts per million. That's kind of insane. But say you have that just for argument's sake, and the respiration is 1 per minute. That means you would have essentially 95 minutes before that tank put all those fish. Now, if you start lower, you have less time. If you start higher, you have high time. If you have colder water and you pulled colder water from deeper part of the lake, the chances of you having better dissolved oxygen inside of are higher than taking at the shore. But we did this again when he was doing it again. So we did this at Rice Lake and we checked it at North Bay. People were like, oh, I need ice. My fish aren't looking good. And then the second that we would switch it to recirc, they started coming back or the fish stabilized.
Is there an equation that would be easy for guys to know? Say I got 10 pounds, 12 pounds, 15 pounds of fish. Is there a good equation that you could put on it to kind of gauge how long?
Perfect. Here's the thing. Your boat has 3 switches, on, off, and auto. When you're running on plane, put it in recirc, turn it off. Any other time that you're not running on plane, turn it into full and say on.
And what about the auto mode?
The auto mode, good, better, best. The auto mode's okay. It's coming in.
Yeah.
But, do you want to have fresh air all the time or do you want to have fresh air every 5 minutes?
Yeah, I get you.
All the time.
Get you. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
The best option that you have for your fish, like, unless you're going into somewhere where it smells aerobic. Like if you're going somewhere and it smells swampy, you're in 2 inches of water and you look down and there isn't a thing alive anywhere and it's black and you're in a sewage lagoon.
Yeah, you're not on auto.
Get out of there. There's no fish in there anyway. Don't even worry about it. But the best option for that fish is recirc that, not recircing it, but having it on full juice, full blast all the time. You'll get your best results with your fish.
Actually, my boat was tested for that
get enough
OBN
oxygen.
thing.
We're gonna.
I remember them doing that.
Have we nicknamed any guest the professor yet?
No.
That's yours.
That's yours?
The eagle and the professor.
And the doctor.
And the Dr. Bass, right? Yeah.
So it just goes to X plus the X and Y, right? It's how much fish respirate versus how much you have in the live well. And that ratio dictates how long those fish are okay until they hit that stress threshold. And the problem is it's easier to use it and it's harder to put it in.
How much is how much is like a dissolved oxygen meter? Is it like feasible for people to have this in their boat or no?
So for work, so we have DO meters and chlorine meters and stuff like that. They're so a company, if you really want to go down this route, there's a chemical analysis company, and they produce, make, sell laboratory equipment. And you can get one. It's a dissolved oxygen concentrator, and it's called Hawk. That's the name, HACH.
So it's like a probe?
Yeah,
Or it's
and
like a
so
strip?
it depends how much money you want to throw at it. You can get ones that
They
are
don't
probe.
sound cheap.
No, they
can
don't
get
sound
one that
cheap.
are like a pocket meter, and you can get one for pH, and you can get one for DO, and a couple other conductivity, and a couple other tests like that. It looks like a really fat pen. You know those pens back in the day that had 15 colors, and you click them all down.
Love those.
Yeah.
Imagine holding 2 or 3 of those in your hand. It looks like that, and you just dip it in, and it'll read it for you. They're a few $100.
Wow.
So if you want to test my theory and prove, try to prove it wrong, go ahead, spend the money and get it. But it'll show that, if you keep a fish in a live well on recirc, your oxygen levels go
I
down.
think you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, me too.
believe
I don't think
Just saying.
anybody's doubting what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like I was asking if it was something that you should have on your boat just so you could take better care of your fish.
If you wanted to go, I wouldn't say for us, but if you had a livelihood that revolved around fish care, and that's something you wanted to look at.
It was a tool you would have.
knew
Right?
that
Like-
you were going to
Yeah.
a
It was a
fishery
tool
that's
you'd
horrible.
Yeah, the CSFL, there's one right on the boat. They have one.
Yeah, for a couple $100.
Theirs is expensive.
For a couple $100, and you have a dead fish that was a big fish, or you come in with a couple expired fish,
Right.
and you're out of the money. That B.A.S.S, you're out of the money. That's 10 G's.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to open up a can of worms right now.
Shoot.
Full disclosure, as most of you guys know, I work for Garmin, one of the lines we rep. Studies on forward-facing sonar and fish.
Oh, you're skipping the G juice?
Oh, no. We can get to the G-Juice first if you want. Where you want to go here? You tell me.
Whatever you want.
All right.
I'm game.
Well, let's go into the forward-facing sonar.
FFS.
FFS.
So there's studies being done. And while we're at the conservation summit, we had from Texas a bunch of representatives. They're in the middle of wrapping up a study, and they had some preliminary data coming out of it. Now, for anyone here or anyone in general that wants more information, there's something called the Black Bass Summit coming up next year in August.
Yeah, it's on my list here, yeah.
Yeah, they have it every 25 years. This thing is going to be the pinnacle. Every 25 years is like the pinnacle of bass data, information, knowledge, studies coming out on this. So next year's, you'll probably have more research and information conclusively peer-reviewed, scientifically done on all this information. Then that's when the best information. But right now I'm talking on preliminary stuff.
All right.
Nothing crazy. So there was a study, and what they were doing is they were measuring fish nuisance annoyances, essentially. Like, are fish spooked by you driving by? And then are they spooked by you driving by and then hitting them with 2D sonar because you saw something nice? So you saw something nice, so you slowed down and you use forward-facing sonar and then fishing pressure. So what they did is now I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the study in front of me, obviously, but this should be possibly made available later on, this information, especially next year. Yeah. So what they would do is they would tag fish, and they had, so they could track them, and they had specific fish in specific areas, and they would go up and they perform these tests on them to see their reaction. So the first one is they went by and they would do figure eights around the fish to see a percentage of the amount of fish that would bugger off. The second is what they would do is they come up and they'd hit them with 2D sonar, like side imaging or down imaging or whatever, and how much buggered off. And you could, and then they would go all the way to forward-facing sonar and fishing, actually angling for the fish. And right now, what it looks like is, and these are pressured fish in Texas. So what it looks like is they are not that dumb, and they are noticing that the more, more interactions that you have with that fish, the greater the annoyance, and the greater, I wouldn't say annoyance, but the greater that the fish has at buggering off. So I don't have all the exact numbers here, But the best option was just driving by it. The next best option was hanging it with a pinger. And then the next best, the worst option, was hitting it with the forward facing sonar. Like they know.
So it's funny though how like that study's been done.
It's not been done. It's being, that's
But let's say
preliminary
it's
stuff.
the-
It's not 100%.
So let's say it's
the
the worst case option as of right now, what you're saying.
yeah.
But then we all agree that it helps us catch more fish. So it like contradicts itself. You get what I'm saying? I'm very interested to see the study, like when it's done and complete.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't have the full information on it. It's very interesting. A lot of people want to know more of the information, but it just looks like the more you hit a fish with sonar, the more pressure you put on it, the more you're around it. Like they were saying, like you could see it some of the stuff that you want to see is the outliers. But in data, the outliers are kind of the stuff you don't really want to pay attention to because they're like the 1 in a million chance. But some of them are some of the fish they hit with 2D sonar and they just buggered off like 200, 300 feet away, gone. And that was before you dropped anything on them. And they're like, I know. Or at least I think that I know, I've eaten enough
It would be really
trebles to know that when I start feeling that,
Yeah. It would be really interested to see when this comes out, like with all these Bassmaster Elite guys putting like 5 of them on their boats.
Right.
If this study shows it's pushing fish away, is that going to change that trend, you think?
But there's always pressure on fish, right? Like,
well, 100%.
It goes with say you have a fish that has a rattle in it, and that rattle is steel, and you catch a whole bunch of fish. That fish is obviously, or like even a chatterbait blade or anything like that.
They're gonna get used
They get that vibration, and they bite enough of those. They're like, anyone's going to be like, I bite that, I'm getting a hole in my face.
Oh yeah, I touched an electric fence once.
Yeah, and then you change it to tungsten, you change it to silent and stuff like that. They're going to
People think fish are dumb. You know what? They might be dumb, but they're not stupid.
There's guys
that
right now that'll go into a zone and they'll shut off all their electronics.
I know many anglers that shut everything. They know they're there.
Yeah,
they're shutting them off.
And if you knew they're there, and to shut them off, right?
Yeah,
they want to stay alive. So they know if I eat this and this looks good and I eat it, I get full and I get bigger and I stay alive. I have babies. That's good. Life is good. I am procreating. I'm living. I'm getting bigger. I'm eating things. But if they start biting on the same thing that they can feel or same color that they see or the same, anyone would,
Right.
like you start touching electric fences all the time, you might get the gist that maybe it tickles a little too much and
right.
let go of her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see where this plays out. That's interesting for sure. And if you're in a shallow area, you're flipping a bunch of docks, you don't need your electronics. Why would you not turn them off? Especially when you're dock fishing, you're getting close, and you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a great option too. I think that's a great avenue for electronic companies to be like, hey, we have a button. You press this button. It shuts it off.
Yeah, and I know a lot of
like a mute,
like stealth mode.
Yeah,
I know
like
a
a
lot
mute.
of guys that
Yeah,
have
yeah.
switches built in, like just to the power source at the front of the
Garmin
boat.
stealth.
Garmin stealth mode.
Secret.
Oh,
Can't hear me coming.
The old secret.
man, this has been
Or it just goes, duh.
dude. You know your stuff. This is incredible.
I just listened to people that were smarter than me talk about it, and then I made sure, or tried to make sure that what they were talking about was not going to make me look like a
So I'm looking
pants.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to keeping up to date on what you guys are doing with this grant, stuff like that. I really want to see the clubs take advantage of this AFCO bag program.
Yeah.
I want to see pictures. I want to see the clubs do it. I want to find a way to help the OBN get the message out to the townships and the local news and media what the clubs are doing, because I think it goes unnoticed. To the cottage associations that hate that we show up, but we clean up their trash, right?
Yeah.
They're part of that watershed program, are they not?
They're partners
they work
that work
together.
With.
Yeah,
like why would you shoot yourself in the
It's-
foot for partners that live on the water? Hey, you live on the water, we use the water. Let's make it better for everyone. Everyone's got a different version of fun. Some people ski-doo, some people wakeboard, some people cruise, some people fish, some people swim, some people dive. Let's keep it.
And it goes back to we talk about it many episodes, how mad I get about how poor our boat launches are, our parking areas.
Oh,
did you see how they ruined the one at the causeway?
Yeah.
So now the causeway, I go there and launch the other day, and they're redoing the causeway up between Ennismore and Bridge North. And they've dropped all this armor stone along the edge of the parking lot. So you used to be able to back your trailer up a little bit on the lawn so you can fit. Couldn't fit. My truck and trailer was too long. It was on the road.
Yeah.
So there's only a small few boat trailers. So they took away all that opportunity. So these stones, I swear they were never there because I launched there all the time. Never had a problem. There was only one spot I could fit my trailer between them this year. And I just have a normal 20-foot boat.
Wow.
And a
That's
normal
one thing
truck.
they do right in the States.
And
Like they have 3, 4,
I know.
5
So-
lane launches.
Oh,
wide.
yeah.
So there's one crappy dock there with the side blown off it, all the rubber laying in the water. And I'm just sitting here like the tourism dollars we bring in as anglers, not just anglers, like boating in general, recreational boating, and how like the tax dollars just can't get us proper.
That's
parking
always
and
been
boat
a
Property
launches.
terrible
value.
launch
If
there.
you have a mint boat launch on a lake that makes the lake accessible, just the property value of the adjacent cottages or homes
Yeah.
on that lake, like, hey, like this is one of the only lakes you can go on that's pretty sweet. It's got nice fish, and you can actually launch your boat.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's just it frustrates the heck out of me. I just when I saw those armor stones, I was mad.
Yeah.
Because if you're not one of the first 2 trailers there, you will not park a full bass boat trailer now.
Yeah, and a lot of them are old roads that are 911 access and
Yeah.
rural routes and stuff like that. And when they made them, it was mint, and they had shoulders to go on. Now the shoulders are all
Grown
overgrown,
in.
and you go to bring your boat up, and you have to park like 5 kilometers away
Way.
because there's not enough room. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel you.
Yeah, it's getting worse and worse. So, and you know, now like to launch at like Harris, it's $20. Which, hey, I get it, man. It's their property. Like their taxes are going up, this and that. I get it, but like, you know what I mean? It's just crazy how hard it is to find a good launch.
Yeah.
So, but no, man, Zach, I really appreciate you coming in. Anything we missed? Anything you want to touch on?
The G Juice.
G Juice, yeah,
go to the
he's
G-Juice.
itching to get to this. So let's go to G Juice. So
I'm not itching.
Now-
it is a lot of people have questions about stuff.
I'm going to read the back of this quick.
Sure, shoot.
So non-toxic to humans, pets, and aquatic life. Don't drink it, Mark. Detoxifies nitrates, removes ammonia, chlorine, chloram. I don't know how you say this word. Chloramines and heavy metals.
Chloramines.
There you go.
I would have.
So that's when chlorine and oxygen mix together. It's not as effective at killing organics as chlorine is, but it lasts longer.
Are you sure I can't drink this? Because it says relieves stress, promotes healing, adds essential electrolytes. I need some of this right now.
Let's do a shot.
Replace the slime coating. So you really don't need a lot of it. Half ounce treats 30 gallons of water. We all use this stuff. Everybody does. But do half the guys know what it does? How does it work, Zach? Do you know?
I can't.
I guess it does exactly what I just read.
I can speak
But-
to additives. I can't speak to the formulation exactly of any specific thing, but I will speak generically to additives with my limited knowledge on the subject. The additives. So imagine you have a fish tank, right? You're putting additives in there because it's a closed system, a closed circulating system that's in there, and you're putting additives. There's 2 things you can precipitate it out of solution. So there might be something in there that's called a coagulant. And what that'll do is it'll find nitrates or nitrites or ammonia, and it will go in and or chlorine, or depending on what's in there. I don't know the formulation.
Yep.
And it'll glutinate and drop out of suspension. So it'll find the bad stuff. That's like a clarifier. Like you put it in your swimming pools when you go to do it. You know, you put that in, it's all cloudy, everything bulks up, goes to the bottom, you vacuum it up, she's gone. And then the other thing, it's a chemical reaction to change what it is to something that is less harmful. So our additives, I can't speak to any one additive as being amazing. Our additive's good. If you are in a position where you have fish that have to be on a closed system, that you're worried about, like I wouldn't say it would be bad, good, better, best, right?
Right.
But I personally don't use them anymore for the fact that now I run my live well on full tilt. So if I have full tilt and it's changing the water constantly, there's no need.
no point.
There's no, not the point, but there's no need specifically to use it.
What about like before a long run, like maybe half an hour, 40-minute
like
run,
that,
long
if
run
you,
on the way
yeah,
back?
because if you have a boat, that what it'll do if it siphons off, like everyone's got it, if you don't plug it 100% on the inside of the live well and you're doing a long run, you could have a back siphon and it sucks down your live well. It happens on a lot of guys' boats. So if you close that off and you do a long run and you want to make sure your fish got a little something extra in there, good, better, best. good is closing that off so the live well doesn't empty. Better, put something in that'll help and de-stress them if you're doing it. And then other option is like you can put a lot of guys put pool noodles and stuff on the top to stop sloshing around and stuff like that. And those are all things that you can do. So does G-Juice work as it is says on the bottle, or other additives? Sure, they could be exactly what they say they are, but you need to use the right thing for the right situation.
Right.
So going back to, because we're kind of on the same topic of live wells.
Yep.
Culling systems or culling clips. Yeah. I would think that it would add stress to it's clipped on its mouth. A lot of them have a floaty on them. What's your opinion on them?
Wow.
By the way, the Bubba culling system is sweet. But anyways.
Yeah, so we've gone a lot away from piercing. Which inherently I think is good. Like you get enough people that may not know how to pierce, like the old piercing culling system. Like it's nice that we're saying the old.
Well, they were
piercing
never
culling
meant to be a piercing culling system. They were meant to go up through the gill and clip around. Just guys got complacent and started poking it through.
But in general, like the damage compared to just clipping on it, like we've gone forward in the system. Can I speak to all of it? I haven't seen any personally. There may be studies out there, but I haven't seen them done on it. I can only speak to personal happenstance. There are some culling systems that I have used. And here's the thing too. You're not culling an 8-pounder. Or you're not putting a call tag on an 8-pounder. You put an 8-pounder in the box, she's swimming free.
Yeah, fair enough.
She's got room.
She gets her own side.
Yeah, she gets her own side.
Yeah.
She gets her own love. She gets everything.
My fish were so big this weekend, they each got their own side.
All two of them?
No, I'm kidding.
He's only got a one.
Yeah.
They were only 4 pounds. They were only 4 pounds each, but still.
Yeah.
Those are good.
So you're putting call tags on your smaller fish. So you want, I went through 4 or 5 different call tag systems. And I had some of them that were with the smaller fish. They weren't doing them. Like, it looked like it was stressful. Either it was heavy or how it was clipped on, or maybe it was bulky and then it turned to its side. So it put a little twist on the jaw. So I just went through, I found less is more. Find a call system that works for you. But I found one that didn't have a whole bunch of pinch on it, but wasn't huge and bulky right at the fish lip, and go from there. That's what I found with my personal.
Yeah.
But I had I'm telling you, I had a system, and I was just like, everyone's like, oh, it's just the little fish. I'm like, those are the ones you put the tags on to get rid of them. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So, what's next? Like, what's future plans? Any for the conservation side of fishing for you or OBN or what's?
So.
What do you think?
I had an amazing experience down south, and I made some good contacts up here in the north and the northern states here in Ontario. And I want to put those to use for everybody, and I can't be everywhere at once. One of the things I would like to see, and I would like to move forward, is maybe, this is a big maybe, and I want to try and get there.
We don't do maybes. We make shit happen around here.
I want. This is a goal of mine. I want to try and get there. Is have maybe an annual or a semi-annual thing where I can get these guys together in the north and say, hey, we have 4 or 5 decent speakers. They know what they're talking about. The stuff that I am perambling off and referencing, they're the ones that did the work. And then have an open invite conference to the OBN, tournament directors, VPs, guys get the good information, get the good science out, get the good conservation out, and link people with the people that know what they're talking about.
Remind me to talk about this off the air. I have an idea for you.
Sounds good.
Okay. No, I think that's a great idea. I think this podcast has been extremely educational.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Zach, honestly, you impressed me. Seriously, you speak well and you know your stuff.
It's a big deal what you do, man.
And I don't think people understand, you're volunteering for this. And it's
we get a cool jersey.
Well,
I've
got my name on it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But I just
first and last.
I think it's you know what, OBN is a huge part of tournament fishing up here.
Yes.
Yep.
And we've talked about OBN on basically every episode.
And
Join
we
your
have
club.
I wouldn't
your
say
club.
fairly. We have a good reputation.
You do,
Yes.
100%.
We don't have a bad reputation. We're known for good fish care, and
Yeah.
we're known for improving. I'm not saying we're the good, better, best. We're good, and we want to get better.
But every day you're trying to find
Absolutely.
ways to get better.
Yep. And every person that we give this information to, every person that helps, every Bass Care 101, every handout, every time they listen to us or anybody else out there, and they do one extra thing for fish care, that's better for everyone. That's another fish that we all get to catch.
So you fishing this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going down to the St. Lawrence, fishing
Nice.
with Warren. And,
Right on, the Eagle.
The Eagle. Yeah, that's what you could call his boat, the Eagle's Nest.
Oh my gosh. That's a great name for
That'd be a
boat.
good sticker to jam on his boat.
Eagle's Nest.
He's got an ear-to-ear grin right now listening to this, probably.
I hope he didn't. I wonder if he listened to the last one because we talked about him a lot.
Did we? I don't
somebody else- and
remember.
somebody else.
with me being on here, he might have to get a little dingle in. And his name was dropped in the first 2 minutes, so he probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Eagle. I'm looking forward to going to the St. Lawrence this weekend too and put one of these Jeff's jigs to work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a sexy little thing, eh?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
That's a smallmouth
It's
killer.
Jeff.
Jeff, hats off to you, buddy. So everyone, don't forget to check out Jeff's jigs. But guys, before we wrap this up, and Zach, so I want to have you back. You know, when you get a little bit deeper into like your program and what you guys are going to do and all that, I want to come back and I want an update. How's that sound?
No, that's amazing.
Okay.
And I also want to reach out. If anyone in the OBN is listening to this, conservation director, or if someone that's not in the OBN want to reach out and we want to participate in the the bank bag program. I only have so many right now. I'd love to be gone and say, hey, it's so good up here. We're doing so well.
Yeah.
And
We
we're
need
getting
more.
so much exposure. I need more and I need to do this.
Yep.
So, and if you guys are a club doing it, please like send it to us so we can repost it. Like, let us help spread the word. We will grow fishing and grow this initiative if we all work together.
If you're in a club, bring this up to your club. And
Well, you said the president should have this information, right?
The email went out yesterday with this information generically. People are going to be listening to it now.
Still
and
bring
we're
it
gonna
up to your
try-
club.
Yeah. So
Ask about it if you don't hear about it.
We'll be talking it at the
Take-
qualifier this year. And if anyone reach out, I'll give you my information, my OBN email, and send it, and I will help out.
can you leave us one bag and we're going to do a launch this weekend?
yeah.
I brought a bag for each of you.
There you go. So let's do it. If we see garbage at the launch, let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right. This has been phenomenal. Zach, thank you so much again for coming in. You know, as we always said, everybody, we have one price to listen to our show now. That's just to like it, share it, and leave us a review. That's all we ask. My travel schedule has been nuts with work, but we're going to keep trying to bust these out every couple of weeks because we truly enjoy them. We get tons of positive messages from you guys, and I love seeing those messages. We get them on Instagram, you know, YouTube, and as you guys know, we're going to more of an audio format, but everyone's telling us, hey, we're listening to in our cars on the way to work and this and that, and it's working. We're able to belt them out quicker, and we're getting better quality episodes. We did an hour and a half tonight instead of an hour because of editing, and that's why we're doing it. So, Zach, thank you again. So before we let you guys go, Mark, any last cast, buddy? Any final
How
words?
about a joke?
All right, try us.
What do you get when you put a brown chicken and a brown cow together?
I'm not sure.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
My turn.
That was horrible.
Here you go. Here's a
That was
conservation.
so bad.
I'll give you some conservation jokes here.
All right.
What'd the fish say when you hit the brick wall?
Damn.
Damn. Well, it would have been nicer if you just played that you didn't know. So
okay.
punch like a drop a little bit harder.
Oh man, I am
terrible
there we go.
friend.
I am
We'll do it again.
That's
So
your
Man,
enough.
I wish I could find the jokes. I don't remember the words. So I emceed the Bass thing a couple weeks ago, and I said a joke at dinner, 2 fish jokes at dinner, and I mean the room didn't even laugh. So I like picked on Phil Haggerty. I'm like, hey Phil, what do you? And I don't even remember the joke was, and he just looks at me like I'm stupid. And no one says a word. I'm like, it didn't go over well, did it? What
It
were
was
they?
a lead balloon.
It was a lead balloon. They were I'll
my
find
son's
it.
favorite one is what do you call a fish with no eyes?
Oh man,
There
they
you
were
go.
so bad. I wish I had them. I wish I had those
It's
jokes.
the dad jokes. I'm done.
Oh man, my daughter loves telling jokes right now. Hey Mark, where are pencils from? Pennsylvania. She just loves saying that every day. All right, Zach, you got anything else besides your awesome jokes?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on here. Hopefully someone is listening and takes one of these pieces of information that I gave out. And if you're listening, you're like, oh man, I want to look into that. Do the research, check it out for yourself. I'm not saying I know everything. Go out, take a look, and see what's out there, and you'll notice that a lot of it is good information, and apply it, and tell people to apply it, and it's awesome, and we need to move forward, and it's awesome that we're doing that, and let's make it better for everyone. And thanks for having me on, because this is awesome to get this out and reach it out, and you helped us out with and being part of CANCAST. It was awesome to come here and be able to drop that for you.
And don't forget our donation. You let us know when and where to send it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
So
we'll take it. We're not gonna say no.
No,
right?
that's a challenge. There's a lot of amazing organizations that support conservation and fishing.
Yep.
So we want to do our bit too.
Right.
So everyone does it different avenues, but we're going to support this avenue, and we're happy to be part of it.
Yep.
So
Local, homegrown.
Yeah.
Many people in one pool. Most amount of good. I think it's awesome.
Sean, what do you got, buddy?
I just want to get back to what Zach said. If you're boxing fish, keep her on full tilt, bud.
Full tilt.
Full tilt. Let those fish breathe.
Full tilt.
Yeah.
Right on. Me, I really hope this recorded. According to this button and the computer, and you guys saw me, I watched this religiously tonight. They'll see if someone was talking, it was working. So I think we're good. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody that makes CanCast what it is. Registration for next year's show is going out middle of next week. So we had a meeting with the venue last week.
That's nice.
So we're going to have signed up nice and early. And it's going to go quick. It's going to fill very quickly. There will be a waiting list. So the vendors that are listening, get the info back to me as soon as we send it.
Yep. The OBN will be there again.
Awesome.
So if anyone has any questions, I'll be there. I don't know if I'll be in the OBN booth or I'll be at helping at Peterborough Pro Tackle booth, or I help out with a bunch of them.
Yeah, you're all over the place there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go, I will definitely answer any questions. If you find me and pin me down, I'm a talker, I guess.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Check it out. Share it. Leave us a review. And thank you, Zach.